Let's do the show.
Are you okay?
Just, you know what? Hey! Hi out there in TV land. It's Midnight Local. I'm Greg.
And I'm Meredith.
That's who we are. Just two humans. Just two human people. I'm in a shit mood, Mare.
You're in
you
a bad
shit
mood. I love that. I actually kind of like that.
I'm a cranky boy.
I'm kind of excited to talk to you, Cranky, today.
Somebody ought to kill her.
For the sake of this planet, somebody just might.
These are two good movies for crankiness.
Yeah, it's true. I really like this movie. We're talking about Serial Mom.
Yeah.
Serial Mom.
I think Serial Mom might actually be a movie that I now turn to regularly if I'm in a bad mood. It's
so much fun.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any bad mood that this movie couldn't at least make me feel a little bit better. It's the 90s. If you're a millennial kid and you haven't seen this movie, I wouldn't say I'm a huge John Waters fan.
Right.
In the sense that I am not as familiar with him and his filmography as I would like to be. Whenever I see anything John Waters, whenever I pay attention, I love him. I feel like my sensibilities are very in line with him. Yes. I had never even heard of this movie.
And that's a great question, right? So I think just to reiterate the point, here on Midnight Local, Meredith and I are embarking on a mission to really try to double down and focus on obscure and forgotten and even Mondo and Midnight and Giallo and video nasties and things that are like bargain bin and overlooked and just sort of forgotten by the movie-going public. And obviously, this movie is a cult following. It does have its fans, but I don't think it has wide awareness.
That's what we're zeroing in on. You saw the comment about your pronunciation of Giallo. I see.
Yeah, those people are incorrect.
Oh, really?
I don't really give a shit. There's what's her name? What's De Laurentiis, not the director, but who's the lady who does the cooking? She's a TV chef, and she always,
of old or
no, of
current?
Recent. I think her name is Laurentiis.
Oh.
She has a line of stuff you can buy, the shit stuff you can buy at Target.
You're talking about the one who always slips into her Italian accent when she's cooking.
Cooking. Yeah, when she's cooking. So it's not. It's not spaghetti. It's spaghetti.
Yeah.
But,
I forget her name.
If she was covering world events, she wouldn't, say that so this week, the volcano in Reykjavik is erupting all over the place. There's a lot of words with Latin and Italian roots that she doesn't put the spice on. It's bullshit. It's in English, it's spaghetti. And anyway, the Italian American, the soprano pronunciation that I grew up around, to be blunt,
sure,
is also bullshit. That's a pronunciation and an accent that's made up.
Do that one. Do
Staten
spaghetti
Island.
in that accent.
Spaghetti. Come on around your house later. We're gonna have some spaghetti. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have some maca. You ever got mozzarella? Oh, the good mozzarella. You couldn't get that nowhere else.
Perfect.
That's also total bullshit. That's not even my most Jersey accent. I was in Red Bank in New Jersey, and I was walking down the street, and I almost lost my shit laughing because there's a New Jersey look for certain kind of men. These certain kind of men, it's never leg day. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Their heads are bald.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaved. They are huge upper body, but not in a way that looks healthy. Okay.
Isn't there what's the cartoon character that's like a dog or a lion or something, and he's just all body with these tiny little legs? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like Looney Tunes?
I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll put an image in there for what I'm thinking.
And their faces are usually red because they're pushing about 400 on the blood pressure, right? And I was walking past the place where they're at. Is a place in Red Bank called Char, which is a cigar and steak bar. And one dude was walking past another dude. You could sit outside and eat. And the guy said, "Hey, that's a great looking fucking dog you got right there. What kind of dog is that?" "Oh," says the other guy, "this right here. This dog you're talking about, I love this motherfucking dog. This dog right here. This dog is a Shih Tzu crossed with a poodle, and he's named after my favorite guy in the whole fucking world, Donald J. Trump. That's Donald Trump the dog." And I've recounted, I have a friend, my friend Ari Rubin, who now lives in one of those Midwestern states, the Upper Peninsula. He's up there in Ann Arbor.
Michigan.
Michigan, thank you.
You're welcome.
He thought that was made up, but no, that is a 100% verbatim accurate representation of a certain jersey that it's so nostalgic for me.
Well, you can get warm and fuzzies for a time and place, even if it's like, it doesn't, for an aesthetic.
There's a certain cigarette smell that takes me back to my mom's friend's apartment in Atlantic City when I was a kid, which was always heavy with cigarette smoke. And that is a nostalgic smell for me.
Yeah.
And it's only certain brands that still have that real extra toxic smell.
Yeah. I'm not trying to actually like cheesy segue here, but that is how I really felt watching this movie.
Ooh,
and
nice
like
cheesy segue. That was a good
it
one.
is, but like anything 90s, like I see Matthew Lillard show up, and I just and Ricky Lake and Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner's fantastic.
And just the feel of
Sam Watterson. Excuse you.
Sam
You had
Watterson.
you
You're right.
can't name
You're right.
everybody but Sam.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. I guess when I think of him, I think of more modern things, so I don't like go right to the 90s with him, but
I
yes.
always think of Old Liberty Robot Insurance.
Okay, is that a commercial?
It was an SNL sketch.
Oh, it was a sketch. Okay.
That he did on SNL.
He's great. He's
He is
perfect
great.
for this role. His sort of innocent, wide-eyed, almost befuddled way of walking through life is just like the perfect
Yes.
counterpart to Kathleen Turner's psychopath in a way that like truly disjointed from any reality, completely in her own world, cold, but like not cold. She's just
that's what's so
just
cool.
laser focused
She's
in a way that I don't think I've ever seen a character be quite this predictable and unpredictable at the same time.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's John Waters' special touch. So
It is.
I haven't seen this movie since it came out when I was 9. And I
Okay.
did see it not when I was 9 when it came out. And I think I probably saw it because like when you used to go to the video store and rent videotapes back then, the video rental store tapes would have like some trailers at the front of it. And there was a trailer for Serial Mom coming out. And I was like, I got to see that. That looks great. And my parents thought there was nothing wrong with that. It's also why I saw Pecker, which is like, I just really gravitated at an early age to the films of John Waters. Pecker is another John Waters movie.
Yeah, I do know that.
So I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid. And boy, does it hold up, and is it wonderful.
Oh,
and
it's
so
so
much
good.
fun.
It's
so
fun.
good.
Yeah, so just 1994, an hour 35 minutes, rated R. This actually had a $13 million budget, which is on the higher end for John Waters. It was one
Poor
of the
John.
two it was one of the two movies that he shopped around in the studio system. I guess I was reading an interview with him, and he always shopped things around, and maybe they got bought, maybe they didn't. He
Right.
made the movie anyway. But this and Crybaby seemed to be the two that had studio backing all the way through, and he didn't make them any money. It grossed like 7.8 million, but it's John Waters. Who
too
cares?
bad.
Yeah, he
Darn.
told, I guess he's quoted in this interview being like, I don't know, show the movie every year on Mother's Day to make your money back. Some taglines for the movie. I love taglines. Whenever I read them, they just crack me up. But this has some winners.
Tag fiend.
She's a fabulous, loving, caring mother who happens to be a serial killer. Every mom wants to be wanted, but not for murder one. And then the last one, which I actually think this is the best of the three.
Yeah, those two are weak. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
this is my favorite of the three. At least she meant well.
That's the best one. Yeah, that is the best one.
That's all you need.
That's really good. So what is the plot here? The plot is that, and it starts right away with the
Immediately.
action. The harassing phone calls.
There's the cutout lettered, the note that says, "I'll get you, pussy face." That's all the note says. In magazine letters. But before even we see that, it's just family eating breakfast,
Yep.
very, as John Waters loves to do, just like suburban middle class Baltimore family eating breakfast. And we see some of her early grievances, like she doesn't like chewing gum, and her daughter's chewing gum. She makes a point about that. And she's watching this fly around while the family's having a conversation about Misty's boyfriend, just sort of this completely mundane conversation.
Gonna take her to the beach if she loses 10 pounds.
That comes later, but yeah, right. And meanwhile, Kathleen Turner, mom, is just, and their mom and dad, Beverly is her name. Beverly is just hunting this fly around the kitchen.
Yeah, she's got to get him.
Yeah, and she finally kills it. And then 2 officers show up at the front door to discuss
The pussy
Dottie.
face
Yeah, Dottie down the street who's being harassed, and they're
Who
sniffing
is
around.
Mink Stoll, by the way, if that means
Who's
anything.
no, who's that?
I'm not super versed on Mink Stoll. I just know that it's worth noting that this is Mink Stoll.
Yeah, part of the original Motley Crue of cast of players in Underground Shockmaster John Waters. So she's been in other John Waters films.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Female Trouble, Pink Flamingos. So she's in the what's the trio, the trash movies. What is that trio of movies of his officially called? It's like the Trash Trilogy or something like that.
Okay.
And John Waters being the Pope of trash.
He is the Pope of trash.
Yeah.
I love it. Gotten him in trouble a couple times over the years.
A little bit. You know, he made a really good point in an interview.
PETA does not like him.
Who does?
PETA.
Doesn't like John Waters.
Yeah.
I guess there's a tag at the end of this movie where there like no flies were harmed in the making of this film.
That's interesting.
And I think it is a fake fly that they kill, but I wonder
That's
if
probably
that had something
because
to do
of
with
PETA
it.
coming after him over Pink Flamingos.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which he gave the I mean, he gave the most fuck you apology for that ever. He came out and said, look, that chicken lived just as every other chicken on earth did, and it died, and we ate it just like every other chicken on earth. And on the way, it got laid and it got to be famous.
Jeez, that's harsh.
The extreme, just like, no, I'm quadrupling down on fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going as fucking fuck.
He's uncancelable because of how far he goes. But he also makes the point that, like, really, he says it this way. He makes fun of the things that he loves. He doesn't make fun of the things that he hates.
Sure.
And he makes fun of the rules that he lives by. He attacks himself, his people. It's more of a self-deprecation than it is, like, shit-slinging.
I'm not really sure how that applies in the case of Serial Mom.
No, that's just the breadth of his work.
Right, yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we were walking through it. We got through breakfast, which is just the very beginning
Also,
of this
it's
movie.
based on a true story. All of these events
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
I love that.
They've like adamantly. It's like a 3-card beginning
Yeah.
about how true this story is.
This is a true story.
Yeah, right. This all comes from court documents and all of that. But yeah, so the family leaves to go to school and work and the other, and Serial Mom gleefully runs upstairs to begin her day of
Hello, is this the cocksucker household?
just harassing her neighbors.
I love this is what I love about John Waters. There is no warning. It's just we go from 0 to 100 instantly.
Yeah.
Bye, kids. Like, no inklings, no sidling into this.
Yes.
No, like, the movie's called Serial Mom. We don't need to waste
And that's
time
what he's
setting
already
it up.
told you. Yeah, exactly. He uses the marketing and the title of the movie, and it's and you're in. He doesn't need to bring you in. You're in.
The sheer joy on her
The
face
joy. She's
when
so happy.
she is on that phone call. I was just like, oh God, what a wonderful time it was before Call ID, and you could just harass the shit out of people.
Well, and just as I was asking myself, like, why? Like, is there a reason? Is she just psycho? No, it was that
There's a flashback
to Dottie stealing her parking spot. And girl, I feel you. Retaliation for that in movies is always so satisfying. Happens again in Fried Green Tomatoes.
I was gonna say Fried Green Tomatoes is the other
Tawanda
one.
scene. Yeah, so great. Because nothing
I almost
is more
wonder if he
infuriating.
was replying to that movie actually in this, because
Yeah, that would have been 91, so possibly.
Right.
Well, we'll get into this later, but I was certain while I was watching this that this was some sort of response to the O.J. Simpson trial, but it's actually, he's a prophet. It's like he shot this right before all of that went down.
Yeah, so the movie probably came out alongside of it actually.
It did, yeah.
And I guess for him fortuitous, although the movie still didn't earn out of its budget,
No.
so maybe not.
No, certainly
I
not.
mean, I don't even know.
I don't
was
think
this,
he
like,
cares
straight
about
to
that.
video? Like, I don't know that this movie was even in theaters.
It has, I mean, it has a gross. It has a noted
Right.
like worldwide domestic gross, so it must have shown somewhere. So as she's harassing her neighbor on the phone, her other neighbor walks in, kind of catches her not really, is like, oh, she tells her she was yelling at the phone company or something like that, comes up with an excuse.
Yeah.
Then where do we go from there? Do you remember?
She goes to the parent-teacher conference where
her
son is doing great in math, but he has an unhealthy obsession with horror movies that her teacher cannot tolerate. And he accuses her of running, like, what's going on in the house? Are there drugs? Is there abuse? Like, this isn't normal. And so first off, this is what I think is so cool about this character, because, like, on the face of it, you're like, oh, maybe John Waters is skewering middle American values, and underneath all of them is a serial killer. But, like, in reality, she doesn't really have middle American values. Like, she's like, hey man, kids love horror movies, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, she really does. Well, and she kind of supports her kids in whatever they want to do. She never, like,
she's a great mom. She just doesn't want them chewing gum.
She does. Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, and is the teacher chewing
language.
gum? I think the teacher is chewing gum while she's having this conversation as well, which is grating on her nerves.
Yeah, probably.
And it's impossible to know as you watch this movie, so then she goes up, actually runs the teacher over with her car. And
5 or 6 times.
Yeah, like, just completely. The first time she hits him, you're like, oh, crime of passion. But then she, like, backs up back over him in this really gruesome way. And you're like, no, she's having fun. And she's spotted by, like, a stoner girl who sees the whole thing go down. She's really doing this in broad daylight. She's not being careful about it at all.
She's not careful about any of her murder.
It's unclear if she even understands that this is not an okay thing to do. Like, she is so devoid of emotion in all of this.
No, she's not devoid of emotion. She's filled with joy.
Sort of.
She's ecstatic.
Like, she's never scared for herself. Like, she never has a moment. Like, yeah. So,
she's not full of rage, though.
No.
She's just like, wee!
Yeah, right.
Killing people.
And as the movie goes on, it becomes unclear to me, like, did she kill him for sort of questioning if her son was okay or not, or did she just kill him because he was chewing gum?
It could have been either.
Well,
I mean, no, because, like, we know that she kills the daughter's boyfriend for being a dick to the daughter.
That's
right?
true.
Like,
No,
she's
but
out to protect the kids.
I'm not convinced that if she had gone into that room and he said, I just want to tell you how wonderful your son is, but he was chewing gum, that she wouldn't have still killed him.
No, maybe. That's a lot of people you got to kill every time you encounter someone chewing gum.
I mean, the reason I think this is because of her reason for killing her last victim in this movie. But we'll get there.
Who is Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst is the granddaughter of William Randolph Hearst, and she was abducted by and I always pronounce this wrong, the Cymbalese Liberation Army, which was, it might be a slightly off, a black power group, radical group in the 60s. And by group, I think it was like 7 people who went on a murderous bank robbing agenda. And there was this whole thing about she participated in the robberies and I think maybe shot some people and held up some banks and stuff like that. And then she went to jail. And then this is where the idea of Stockholm syndrome came from, that, like, by virtue, like, this is literally how it entered the public perception. So she got commuted and then I think ultimately pardoned. Commuted by Ford and then pardoned by Carter, if I'm not mistaken. On basically the basis that, like, she had Stockholm syndrome and she didn't know what she was doing. She was abducted and brainwashed. And then, that was a cultural issue. Whether or not you thought she had been brainwashed or not probably depended a lot on your politics.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm familiar with the story now. I didn't know that that's who that was. I love that she returns home and is in a John Waters.
She was in a lot of John Waters movies. Like, John Waters was basically, I think, her career for a while there. He was
like damaged goods to other people, not to me. Yeah. Come over here.
And then the other one who's in this, and as well as in Crybaby, and I can never remember her name. She was an underage porn star.
Tracy Lords.
Yeah, exactly. And in Crybaby, she's like a major character, or at least a secondary character.
Yeah.
Who runs off with a pornographer. But yeah, she was like starring in porn movies when she was like 16 years old. Yeah. And again, John Waters was like, "That's what I need."
He's just like he just
lucky her, right? Like,
yeah,
because that could have been, her. I think her life probably turned out a lot better because of John Waters' influence.
Ricky Lake. I was listening to Ricky Lake talk to John Waters on her podcast, and, like, she just talks about how much fun all of his shoots were, how they would all just hang out and, like, were really lovely to each other, but, like. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I always find that people with histories, pasts, and questionable things going on are the better people. Nicer people, not so worried about everything else. Their image.
let's not go play by play here. Let's just.
Well,
like,
I have a question for
oh,
you at this point in the movie.
Yeah.
Do you think this is her first murder?
No.
You don't?
I don't know. I hate this answer. I'm going to give you the worst answer. This is like when my kids ask me, like, do you think this is going to happen? I'm just be like, I won't speculate because I don't know.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, I mean, if I want to be really analytical, the evidence around the film kind of implies that it's not. But
see, I think it kind of
because
implies
there'd be more investigation.
I guess
it also like there is no like, oh, the first kill kind of moment here either. So like it's sort of, her actions imply that she's been doing this for a long time.
I mean, it does. I agree with you there. I kind of get the sense. Yeah, you're right. Because I was going to say, I get the sense that like these irritations have been building and she's sort of snapped, but like nothing in her personality tells me that this is a person that is capable of snapping. They just are who they are.
Yeah. Well, and so death toll, she kills, let's talk about who she kills. She kills the teacher. She kills the boyfriend. She kills the friend. Really just for the crime of seeing her kill somebody else.
And it's been bugging her that he's not wearing his seatbelt, which she mentions a lot.
He's not wearing a seatbelt. Doesn't bug her that he has porno mags on him all the time. In fact, she's more than happy to return those to him.
Yeah.
You know, boys being boys.
Well, and that's the thing is she, as society does, hones in on these really specific things that don't matter at all. And like the things that you would expect to matter to someone like her, just like non-issues.
She's just very concerned about safety. And doing the right thing.
Yeah, safety, but like very specific cultural norms.
She's big on recycling.
She
kills that neighbor because she won't recycle.
Right.
Which, by the way, that was an expensive scene because she beat her to death while she was watching Annie, and the owners of the rights to Tomorrow asked for $60,000 as a fuck you price, thinking that they wouldn't come up with it, and then the studio paid for it. And I think John Waters probably didn't even fight for it. I think he would have been like, "Oh darn, like we'll have to use something else."
No, I'm so glad that
apparently
they fought for
the studio came through with the money for it.
I'm so glad. Well, and she kills the Rosemary and her husband, which I think she goes
the dentist guy.
She goes, yeah, right, the patient of her husband who's the dentist. Yep. She goes to kill Rosemary, I believe, for learning about her murder of Carl, the boyfriend.
Do you think so?
When remember. She leaves, you think she's going to chase the friend, Scotty. You think she's going to chase Scotty. And so the family goes after her, thinking that they're following her to Scotty's house. And she goes to Rosemary and her husband's house. And you're sort of intercutting. Like there was a moment where I was like, how are they missing her? They're in the same house, but they're not at all. They go to the wrong place and are like, phew,
Scotty,
mom's not going to murder someone.
In the most cartoonish way imaginable. He's like, he's jacking himself off the bed.
Yeah. Which I guess for Kathleen Turner and for Sam Waterston, who wanted to go out on a limb for this movie, clearly, but that was the I guess the script plot point where they were like, okay, how are you going to shoot this? How are you going to do this? Because they're like, we would like our careers to continue after this movie is out.
Actually, speaking of going out on a limb for it, there was a lot of effort by the studio to recut the movie, and Kathleen Turner went to a friend in the Hollywood press and leaked all that information and got an article published that basically forced the studio to not recut the movie.
Right. Well, so the whole middle of this movie is her family trying to figure out, is she murdering people? Is she not? At various points, they think, okay, no, she's not, when she clearly is. We go on a killing spree, and then there's a trial, and she becomes this celebrity serial mom. And I think that's the biggest thing that the studio wanted to change. The movie ends with her getting away with it and becoming this celebrity.
And then murdering Patty Hearst.
Yes, and then murdering Patty Hearst. And there's going to be a Hollywood movie made about her. Suzanne Summers, who is in the end of this movie, is going to play her in the movie. But the studio wanted her to get convicted, which would have destroyed the entire movie.
No, it would have destroyed the whole thing. My favorite line or favorite exchange in the movie might be when the Hearst character, juror number 8, is trying to defend herself. And she's like, fashion can change.
Fashion's changed.
Yeah. She said, no, it doesn't. And she beats her.
So the thing that she is obsessing over during the trial, and the mundane thing I keep coming back to, is that this juror keeps showing up with white shoes on, and it's after Labor Day.
Can't do that
and
after Labor Day.
Beverly is furious about it, spends the entire trial obsessing over this.
I love it.
And
It's so
immediately,
wonderful.
upon being acquitted, murders this woman for this discretion.
Yep. Chases her to a phone booth and beats her to death.
Yeah,
And then
while
everybody's
she's-
just, it almost ends like a sitcom with their kids just being like, "That's my mom."
Yeah.
Oh, you.
And that is what it turns into, is like, they know she's killing. Like, it's up to the system to put her behind bars. It's not their job to stop her.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's their wonderful and loving mother.
And
She
yes,
never did-
she
She
loves
never
him.
did anything to them.
Well, and notably, Misty is chewing gum a lot throughout this movie and is off
Misty?
limits. Misty is Ricky Lake, her daughter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she's not going to harm, like, they give you these clues that, like, she's not going to turn on her family. She's not going to harm her family.
No. Yeah. She does. Scotty's death is brutal. He's
Oh my
burned
gosh.
to death on stage while
Everyone cheers it on.
while Camel Lips
Oh my gosh, that camel toe.
with the stuffed pants. So first off, that's L7, by the way, which is are you familiar? They're
I know that they're a real band, but I'm not familiar with them.
They're a famous band. We pretend that we're dead. Pretend that we're dead. Anyway, and they egg her on and help burn Scotty, which is insane.
She
It's just,
spits
like,
alcohol on him and he
so
goes up in flames.
over the top and just like out into crazy town. I love it so much. It's so wonderful. You just
Yeah.
like can't stop laughing when you're watching it. Oh, one thing I thought was interesting was Ebert, Mr. Ebert.
Oh yeah, how do you feel about it?
He liked the movie a lot, but he thought, and this is to me hilarious, he thought Kathleen Turner's decision to play the character of Serial Mom's mental illness straight, as like the way actual mental illness works, detracts from the satire of the film and makes it a weak satire. I want to know what crazy people Ebert knows.
Well, and like, what does he want her to act like?
I don't even like. I think that first off, he missed what was being satirized, which is
Right.
the media culture, and it takes like half the movie to get to
Yeah.
that part, which is the media culture around true crime is what he's satirizing. The obsession, the elevation of criminals to celebrities. He's not actually satirizing American mom values, right?
No, I mean, in the way that he kind of always is doing that, and so it's
Right.
in all of his work, but that's not, clearly not
that's
what
not
he's
what the
focusing
movie
on.
is about.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just sort of a framing device. And then so he's missing that, I think, because I don't think that how she plays crazy has any bearing whatsoever on that aspect of what the actual satire is. But also, it's a good thing Ebert is not a licensed medical professional, or wasn't, because like his assessment of her is kind of insane. Just absolutely crazy. Oh God, the joy, like when she's listening to the music and just driving across people's lawns, just like woo.
When she's just running from the cops and going to kill, and they can't do anything about it because they're waiting for like the call from the lab to get like sufficient evidence to actually move in on her.
Oh yeah, they're just slowly following her to church and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was the other thing. That is the one thing about that's satirized, is that like throughout the movie, Sam Waterston is like absurdly pro death penalty. Like to a degree that's like so bloodthirsty and just like really
Pro-death
at
penalty.
odds. What?
Pro death penalty.
Yeah, it comes up numerous times in the first half of the movie that he's super pro death
Oh,
penalty.
I missed that.
He just like casually brings it up, like, boy, you know, look who they arrested. They should kill these people.
Huh.
Like it comes up, boy, you know, I'm pro death penalty. It comes up a lot, but he's like super sweet, just this very nice dentist with this absolute bloodthirsty madness for the death penalty. And then the minute she's on trial, he's got that like anti-death penalty button.
Okay, so he flips for her. Okay,
Yeah,
that's very
instantly.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. The hypocrisy.
John Waters is sort of like the parody Stanley Kubrick in a way, because he just like he does every genre, and he takes a dip into like musical. This is like the first horror John Waters film that I had ever seen.
I have a hard time calling this a horror movie.
Well, horror comedy, but I mean, it's graphic. When she stabs Carl in the back, the stick comes
The
out with his
comes
liver.
out.
And she's just like, ugh, and she steps in the blood.
When I was a kid, I saw that, you know, I was 9, and I was like, oh my God, she ripped his liver out.
Yeah.
And now I watch it, I'm like, what the fuck? This is insane.
She's like trying to get it off the end, like,
Yeah.
just disgusted by it.
That tiny
Casually
little
disgusted
hole,
by
just
it.
like jam that in and pull out a liver. All right. I have some commentaries, if I may, on this. So a lot of times I talk about how important it is, like verisimilitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am sure if you've been following the show, you got to be thinking Greg's crazy because there's no verisimilitude here. And first off, I would argue that that is within the context of its setting. Like the movie sets up a set of rules right away where everything follows that. And that's what I mean by verisimilitude. I don't like, for example, in the first episode of Game of Thrones, when Littlefinger, and he does not do this in the fucking book, intimates to Cersei, I know that your kids are the products of incest. And then she threatens him idly rather than killing him on the spot. Like, it is in neither of those characters. It not only is it in neither of those characters' interests, it is not in service to this. It's not in the rules of the setting. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
It's bad writing done because you want the audience to feel let in on what these characters are really
I
about.
think you're also teaching the audience how Littlefinger operates.
Sort
I'm
of,
going to hold this over your head, but he doesn't have enough power to not be killed at that point.
No, and
Yeah.
she has, and if you know anything about her character, she has zero reason not to kill him.
Right. I agree with you.
whatsoever.
There's nothing protecting him to be able to say that to her and exhibit that power.
In the book, you do not know how Littlefinger operates until you find out that he did it all. And it's supposed to be kind of a surprise, except for the fact that he's called Littlefinger and he's the master of coin. Like, to some extent, you got to be like, all right, well, yeah. But, like, that's what I'm saying is that, like, it is basically so the audience doesn't feel dumb, in my opinion, as opposed to just, like, letting the chips lay where they should. I don't think it helps. Anyway, that to me is that destroys the verisimilitude. Immediately in that scene, I'm like, well, this is fucking stupid. You know, like, this is not how this would work in this world, in this set. Anyway, Serial Mom doesn't have that problem, but Serial Mom is absurd. What I came to the conclusion of is that what I love are dumb movies made by smart people. I hate when dumb people try to make smart movies.
Okay.
And I think that John Waters is the master of making dumb movies, and he's a genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a wonderfully, amazingly dumb movie made by a very smart person, and he knows what he's doing. There's this like thing too that you see like writers like I guess Damon Lindelof is an example of one of them, and also Jonathan Nolan is an example of one of them. And you hear this refrain from interviews is like, well, whenever you have a choice to make in your script, do whatever is the most interesting thing that you can do in that moment. And I talk about this as being bad advice, in my opinion, or at least it doesn't resonate with me a lot. And it's because, well, no, I think you should do what the characters would do in that moment, because that's the rules, right? Like, anybody can write whatever is the most interesting thing in that moment without regards to the rules you've established in the setting. That's easy. You don't win a gold medal for that. I'm not impressed.
Right.
It's hard to stay within the characters you've built and the rules of the setting and just like, you know, how things like reality, right? Like, that's fucking hard. And if you throw that out the window, the reason you're a famous writer is because you managed to finish 2 scripts when other people don't, and because you knew somebody, in my opinion. Like, that's it. Like, and that is like, you know, how do you become published? Well, it's really helpful if you don't have to work for a living, if you have a bunch of money. And so I get pissed off about that. John Waters does that, though. He says, what is the most interesting thing I can do here? But he does not stop at the confines of reality, because he steps back outside of the movie, in my opinion, and says, it's all artifice, it's all pretend. I only have to keep this even remotely grounded so that the only reason you would keep this even remotely grounded, because we can do anything we want, is so that the audience feels, I don't know, like nobody's making fun of them or something. I can't put my fingers on it. Like, you haven't seen Pink Flamingos, but there's a scene in it that illustrates this perfectly, where the cops come to the trailer, they're all going to get arrested, and I guess he's writing, he's like, how do I get them out of this scene? I know, they eat the cops. They just kill the cops. The movie stops. They kill the cops. They turn them into stew, and everybody sits around and eats the police, and that's it. You don't have to worry about it. The cops are gone. It's so outside of the realms of anything that could possibly happen in. I've been talking a long time. He says "fuck you" to all conventions. I love it. It's wonderful.
Well, and that's where I guess like when I like musicals and things like that, like he feels like a musical director to me, because you're in another world. You're already off the planet, and
I get that.
So anything that sort of happens from there on out is fantasy and is fine. I'm not looking for anyone to act how I would expect them to act.
You get away from this soap opera idea of like it's about character development. It's not. It's about seeing crazy shit. That's what the movies are.
Well, and that's the promise that he makes to the audience, and he makes it over and over and over again in each of his films. So you also come into this movie trusting him as a filmmaker and what to expect. I think what is happening in Game of Thrones and other things that you've brought up is like they've made a promise to you that this is going to be a very intelligent, well thought out piece where your lead character dies in the first episode, end of the first season, end
of the first season.
And
that's out of the book.
They're going to stay true to they're going to stay true to things like that. They're going to kill your hero because that's what would happen instead of keeping him, because who would watch if he just dies?
Right.
And then they do something like what they do with Littlefinger as sort of lip service to the crowd. We're going to tell you who this character is because we don't think you'll stick with it to wait and find out. And I can understand, like, they've broken their promise to you at that point.
I immediately in the first episode.
Yeah.
Dude, we could do a whole episode on, it would not be in the confines of what this show is about, which is obscure stuff. But like season 8, the final season, Army of the Dead, you've watched it, right? Yeah. I'm not spoiling this for you. Army of the Dead surrounds Winterfell, right?
Yeah.
Do they sleep? No. Do they need food? No. Do they get hungry? Do they, what happens when, like, are they immune to the cold? Yes. Why do they attack Winterfell?
What would be their other option?
Stand there.
Just wait them out until they starve to death.
That's how you do siege warfare in the Middle Ages. The hard part is that you run out of supplies outside. Well, this is a sieging force that never runs out of supplies. And as you die inside, you're dead. Come and join me. So, like, there is no reason whatsoever for them to attack Winterfell. And then when they do attack Winterfell, why are the forces of Winterfell outside of the walls? Like, why? It's just like, it doesn't reward you for paying attention or thinking about the setting or the context of the setting. You create this unsleeping, unkillable zombie army, and then you make them not use what is unique about being a zombie army. It does not ultimately matter that the Army of the Dead is an Army of the Dead. They're just an army. Yeah,
and I guess that's the argument, right? Is then it's boring to watch them stand outside.
What if the whole season was them starving to death in there and going mad and hungry and hunting for rats and trying to find ways out? You could have done Das Boot in there, right?
Yeah.
Like, it could have been fucking insane. And I think that what it summed up to was like, people want to see big dumb fighting.
Big battle
People want to see that. Why are the armies outside the thing? Because then we can run them at each other. Then we can do that. Then we can have her set the fire.
But this is, we keep coming back to that movies that are made, and this one's such an interesting one because the studio was involved, but then he had to fight for his movie, right? Like, the money wanted to make money and wanted him to change the ending, and he said, no, I don't want to do that. And as a result, the studio was right. It didn't make money. I'm always disappointed in what people like and consume and what they don't, I suppose. So I have to, I can't be mad at the studio for making something that's going to make money. That is their goal. I'm more mad at
it's the job.
The rest of us for...
We suck.
That's exactly right.
We're just big pieces of shit.
I'm mad at all of us. And this movie is talking about that to a large degree.
It's about it's about taking, that's what the satire is of society elevating murderers to celebrity.
Because it's fun, because there's t-shirts to be sold, because there's movie deals to be made. And I love when Carl's brother comes to Chip, who is Beverly, serial mom's son, at school and is about to beat the shit out of him for killing his brother. And Chip's just like, whoa, dude, get in on this. You could have a movie deal. You could have a book deal.
He's turned on it.
And the brother's immediately like, oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Like,
I forgot.
that's the point.
amazing. That is the point. You know, yeah. You know what?
Do it, Greg. Do it. Whatever you want to do. Burn it down.
It's just the thing that was stuck in my head. You know why they call it prestige TV?
Why?
Because you can't get men to watch soap operas.
Mm.
Mad Men's a soap opera. Game of Thrones is a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a soap opera. In fact, another one, it's a really good True Blood soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
4 lines and...
True Blood's more honest about what it is, though. We've
It is.
been watching it because every year.
Oh, that's your horror for the year?
No, it's not for the year, but we watch one season of it every year, and I think we've been doing this for 5 years now. Because that's one I can't binge because it gets too tedious. But if you've waited a year and come back to it, it's like, no, this is great. This is just the right amount of True Blood.
Yeah, I can believe that.
But we're at a point in the story where it's just so completely off the rails and
Has
ridiculous.
Bill crawled out of the puddle yet? Because when that happened, I was like, "What the fuck is?"
I think so. I mean, we're in the whole Lilith storyline, and like it's gone completely off the rails. At least that one is very honest about being a ridiculous, over the top soap opera. I think men stopped watching that show. I felt like that show was being watched by women and the gays.
Very likely. I don't know. I mean, I'm only one man.
Yeah. Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I finished Game of Thrones, but I hated every second of it. I just felt compelled to watch.
Right.
God damn it! I gotta watch this fucking show again. Son of a bitch! Oh, look what they're doing.
What's your favorite prestige show?
Mad Men.
Mad Men. Okay.
I fucking love Mad Men. I think Mad Men was really good, but it might have just been like when I saw it. I don't know if I would hold up. I tried to watch The Sopranos recently, and I skipped that because it felt a little close to home when it was airing, and also I was like living on couches and repossessing cars for a living at the time in Atlantic City. It was like not a great time for me to sit down and watch TV on a weekly basis. Didn't even have cable, I don't think. My wife and I were talking about it. She's like, "Oh, you never watched that? You should like check it out." And I was like, "I watched the first episode," and I'm like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need this. How does to me, it felt like a short film. And then I was just like, and what else is there to do? I get it. The mobster's going to therapy. We don't need more. But people are just so, I mean, and this comes back to Serial Mom. People want to elevate the murderer. They are obsessed with the murderer. They want the murderer celebrity.
Well, and you made this point too about Hannibal Lecter when we were watching and we were talking about
proximity to danger.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you want danger to choose you, to like you. Yeah. You're immune.
Exactly. It's the vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's people really wanted to be Mina Harker when they read Dracula.
I mean, I will say, watching this now, this is the first episode that we have filmed post election, and this was a very cathartic movie for me because it feels like what's happening is so new, and then you watch things like this and you remember the O.J. Simpson trial, and it's just like, we will excuse anything for a celebrity that entertains us. Just entertainment.
We're desperate.
And now even more, because it's like, even if you hate the guy, you'll love to go online and just fight with the people who don't. Like, it's this just obsession to be online and to yell at each other.
You got to get Brick. I bricked my phone, and I'm so much happier for it. I got to brick a few more apps, but it's really been good for me. I got my ass off Instagram and TikTok, and I'm a much better, healthier person.
And I'm just watching people just wait online for the next tiny piece of news so they can lose their minds over it for a day and distract themselves. And it's like, we're just stuck.
Exactly. It's a whole other form of entertainment, of course. Yeah. That's true.
I don't think we get out of this until we put down our phones, start watching movies from the 90s again.
It's a beautiful idea. That is my dream, the dream of the 90s. I agree fully. It's a tale as old as time. It's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. Well, and you just realize at a point in this movie, there is nothing she can do that will make her people turn away from her. Not a thing. And in this movie, I don't know, as an audience member, are you one of those people or not? Are you rooting for her or are you not, personally?
Of course I am, because I'm watching an absurdist film and I'm just like, I'm here to see the inventive murder.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, how's she going to kill Patty Hearst?
Because she's the one who's entertaining you.
Yeah, of course. But like that, it's a movie.
But I don't know if people can separate those two things anymore.
Oh man, that's an interesting thought.
Like, I think we're so online, we're so tapped into everything that's of being the main character of everything that's happening. I just don't know if we can, if like, I don't know. Like I said, John Waters is a prophet. Like, his parody has become very much reality.
Yeah.
How do you parody this?
Oh, it's a paradocracy. We have government by parody now.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I want Rod Roddy. You know Rod Roddy?
No.
You never watched The Price is Right, the announcer of Rod Roddy?
Rod. Okay, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I want Rod back from the dead,
that's
obviously.
who you were saying. Okay, I get this.
Like, as the White House press guy. I just want him to come out in the glittery thing and just really, like, announce, like, you know, the next contestant in the Trump administration, Matt Gaetz, come on down. That's right. You're going to be the Attorney General, and later you'll get to bid in our showcase showdown. Like, just do it, man. Just go full game show.
I guess
I want that. Go all the way. Go.
That's where I'm at right now too. My sentiment is just like, all right, their only way out is through, I suppose. And just like, I don't know. This is very easy for me to say as a pretty comfortable.
All right. I was going to say, I'm not allowed to offer commentary because I'm totally untouched by any of this.
I guess it's true. I mean, obviously. I am.
I feel like you're in a somewhat precarious situation.
Yes, I am a woman who is married to a trans person. So yes, but I get to entertain concepts like leaving the country if it gets too serious. I get to entertain keeping my family safe if I need to. And so it's very easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, burn it all down. You get what you deserve. But unfortunately, as those people get what they deserve, so does a lot of other people in the crosshairs who did not want this.
I don't know. I'm an optimist.
Yeah. Good. I need some optimism. Tell me.
I think that all right, we're going to, hi, this is now Midnight Local, a podcast about political musings.
It's just a podcast about using movies to talk about what we want to talk about.
I hate Elon Musk. I think he's a big piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the funny thing. All right, I'll talk about this. This was in the Discord.
Yeah, you did your billionaires. Go watch the How to Drink episode.
Billionaire Space Race
episode.
I
love that episode.
And then I did I was going to do a deep dive on Musk, and I started doing all this research on him, and I was like, nope, this is for somebody else to cover. This is
I
not
remember
for the
you
show.
were going back forth on that for a while.
I had like reams of paperwork on that. Anyway, I think he's an idiot. I think he sucks. Maybe not an idiot, but whatever. I don't think he's the genius he portrays himself to be. It doesn't matter. Somebody in our Discord, and I'm not calling him out, and I don't want to make him uncomfortable, and I probably am anyway, but that's all right. We got into not a spat, but they were like making a joke about like, oh, there's a Cybertruck in the rain, haha, they voided their warranty, and I was like, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Like, what's up with that? Like, oh, don't you know that the Cybertruck's warranty gets voided when it goes into a
like water,
into a car wash?
Oh yeah, car wash. I've heard that. Yeah.
You have heard that. Now, here's the thing about that. I don't like Teslas. I think they are, you know, you can document the fact that they're poorly built. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And the working conditions in his factory suck. Although they are the most built in America vehicle in the world,
I know that.
which is amazing. So I don't know.
It's almost like he's been
bad.
Almost like he's been planning for this for a while.
Almost like maybe he is really trying to bring the manufacturing jobs home. I don't know. And I was like, I'm going to Google that because that to me doesn't ring true. And all I see online are truck guys dumping on the Cybertruck. I don't necessarily think, I think it looks cool. I like stupid 80s retro things.
Yeah,
I think it's too big for what it is. I think it should be like somewhere between that size and like a like an El Camino or something.
If it were functional, though, you like the form.
I like the form.
Mm-hmm.
I like the big stupid prism metal thing. Like I like a DeLorean, so I don't.
It's fun.
I think that,
cars are boring. They used to be fun. Cars are boring.
Yeah,
it's fun. I agree.
Go crazy. I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Get weird.
I think it's cool. Get weird. I want weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you don't like it, that's fine. That's a design choice. I also think it's built poorly.
Right.
None of this matters. I was like, I'm going to Google this thing about the whole water thing. And I was like looking into it, and it's really interesting to me. We both at the same time, me and this other person, found in the owner's warranty the same paragraph about this and drew different conclusions. They said, here, I found it. As I was saying, here, I found it. And they said, see, it says it voided the warranty. It didn't. It said that if you bring the car, the Cybertruck, into a car wash without putting it into car wash mode, because the car has a button to push for car wash mode, which locks the windows and shuts down power to the charging ports and stuff like that to protect it from the incredible inundation of water, they won't be responsible for those damages, which does not void the warranty. It just says, which will be a clause in every vehicle warranty ever, if you do something this car's not supposed to do and it breaks, we're not responsible for that. That's outside the scope of your warranty. This person read that and said, see, it voids the warranty. And that's not how that works. And then there was like a little bit more back and forth. And I was like, look, I don't want to defend the guy, but I hate coal rollers more. And the people who coal roll, it's the coal rollers who are coming for this truck. And then somebody said, nobody should ever defend Elon Musk under any account. And I disagree. I think you should only come after people for things that are true.
Yeah.
I think that even just because somebody's a scumbag doesn't mean we should be in a position of just making shit up about them to come after them about. Like, go after them for the things that are real. Don't just invent reasons to hate somebody. There's good reasons, and not pretend ones.
I've been seeing that sentiment more and more online as people right now in a heightened world are prone to misinformation and reposting things that aren't real. It's like that famous Donald Trump quote, which pops up constantly, where he's like, "Oh, if I were going to run for office, I'd run as a Republican because Republicans are the stupidest people." Blah blah blah.
What's the truth of that quote?
It's not real. It's just not real.
Yeah. It's just not real at all. Okay.
No, it's not real at all. And people bring it up as evidence that Republicans are stupid all of the time. And I have also been a person who has pointed out to people, like, this isn't real. Let's stick to the real stuff, blah, blah, blah. What's so frustrating, though, is like they attack us on fake shit constantly, and it always works. So it feels like bringing a knife to a gunfight all the time. It just, at this point, I am so disgruntled and hopeless that people will ever actually look into a thing and find out what's real and not. Have a soundbite and stick to it and give fuck all if it's real or not.
I don't think that's worked out for me.
I know, and I need people like you to appeal to my better natures that will win out over time. But right now, in this moment, say whatever you fucking want. I don't know.
Here's what happens to me. I think, and this is just because the way I work, and I assume I'm not alone. If you say something that I'm like, I'm going to look into that, and then I find out that you were either disingenuous or misrepresented the facts or said a falsehood or whatever, I'm off your team. That's it. I'm on a different team. That's it. In that moment, I'm like, all right, well, I can't trust you. It's over. Like, that's it for me.
Yeah. The problem is the people like you are decreasing at a rate that at some point you're going to be on a team all by yourself.
I'll still vote, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to vote in the way that, look, I voted for Kamala, but
yeah.
I don't think there's, what you see that? It's Patagonia. There's no secrets here, okay? I'm a fucking coastal elite, and I voted for Kamala. But I do, like, you lose a lot of credibility for me when I can demonstrably say that, like, do you not know the truth of this, or do you not know how to read, or are you just like misrepresenting the facts?
Right.
Because, man, that's frustrating as hell to me.
Yeah.
And I guess I can't take you at your word.
Or
I'm gonna have to do a ton of, like, you just put so much burden on me that I can't trust what you say, and I have to now do this fucking constant fact checking on everything.
But you're angry for yourself personally and what you have to do to find truth. But does it bother you that other people just do not care at all? And those are the people that seem to be,
I think it cuts
dictating
both
the
ways.
course of our country.
I don't think about it. I think it cuts both ways. Look, I think a big thing that Trump ran on was tariffs, right?
Yeah.
Since we untariffed, so to speak, under like Nixon and Carter, we had started rolling some of our tariff policies back during the Great Depression, but we still maintained like reasonably high tariffs, like 10, 20% on some places and as high as 70 in others. Prior to that, tariffs were super duper high, right? Historically, tariffs have always been seen as a pro-working class policy. Since like we decoupled tariffs, like wages have stagnated in the US. Maybe they're telling you the truth at that point. I don't even know, because like when I think an economist says this is good for the economy, I think they mean the global economy, which might be, bad for the local economy.
Right. Well, and I think that's what it is. What's done is like we've gotten people addicted to cheap shit with cheap labor. And I guess it's possible that undoing that in the long term is the better solution. However, the reason people voted for him was not because he was talking about tariffs. It was because they want shit to be cheaper. And it most certainly will not be doing that in the near term.
Probably not. I mean, I don't rule anything out.
Like what they were saying at the end of the campaign, and what I think is the truth that they wouldn't say earlier because no one would have voted for it, is it's going to be really hard for you. For some of you, maybe for the rest of your life, you'll never see the good side of this. But what we think...
Elon said that in a tweet, yes.
Is that it's going to, down the line... everyone's going to be better off. And I think like that's how my family tends to vote, but they're allowed to vote that way because it's not going to hurt them in the same way it's going to hurt other people.
That could be.
And it'll never be seen to fruition because we are so reactive right now that in 4 years, our culture is going to jump completely to the other side of this because they're going to be pissed that the prices are still higher, maybe even higher than they are now.
Right. And you know what? And that's why, to some extent, I think like, it's interesting. We're going to flip the apple cart here and see if this crazy idea works. And if it does, we'll probably stick with it. And if it doesn't, good. We'll swing the other way really hard. And we'll find out finally what actually works.
I guess. And in the meantime, we just...
Silver linings, Meredith. You're stuck in this reality. You got to find something to hold on to.
Well, the social stuff really, really puts a wrench in my life, so it's hard to hope for anything else.
That's true.
But
that's true. Here's my conspiracy theory about Elon, if I can. This part I think we can leave in because I feel like a little safer about this one. My conspiracy theory about Elon, and I kind of got this. Oh yeah, I read a New York Times article that was about like, Elon's like really hardcore climate change activist. Like that is his thing. That's his whole fucking business model. He wants electric cars everywhere. And as a backup plan, he wants to colonize Mars. I don't think he's actually going to colonize Mars ever. I don't think that's actually the backup plan. I think that's bullshit. But regardless, I think it is true. I take him at his word that he is hyper concerned about the environment and climate change. Interestingly, the GOP thinks it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Trump more than most. Trump did, when Elon got involved, pivot and make a joke about it that like, well, I'm with Elon now, so now I'm pro electric car. I'm over that. And I think that probably the gas and oil industry just didn't take him up on his offer of give me $1 billion and I'll let you do whatever you wanted. Now, if you're Elon, and I've done a lot of reading on the guy because I hate him, and you are a member of this weird long-termist cult, right? And you're looking around and saying, oh man, I'm the richest person in the world, and climate change is real and it's a huge existential threat. And I got half of America is on board with doing something about it, and half of America thinks it's not even real. Well, I don't need to spend any money buying the half of America that thinks it's real. I could own the GOP. And I honestly, I'm holding out hope that you are about to enter a golden age of green investment.
I don't think he's going to last that long.
Then I don't think Trump will last that long.
Nah, I don't know. I think he will. I think...
You don't think the richest man in the world could just be like, you know what, Mr. Trump, if you don't want to play ball, Mr. Vance will. There's a lot of people who wish you were dead.
I don't know. A lot of that has to do with his stock prices. And if they plummet, he can become not the richest person in the world very quickly.
He didn't seem to care about his stock prices when he bought Twitter just to give Trump back his platform.
But that's because that's not where he was. He didn't care about that making money. He just wanted to destroy it.
No, he tanked Tesla stock to do that because he leveraged himself to the hilt.
Temporarily.
I mean, you don't know it's temporary when your shit's falling apart.
I think he had a pretty good idea. Like, it's a meme. Tesla at this point is basically a meme stock. It doesn't match any of the fundamentals of the company.
I haven't looked into it. I would.
Yeah, and it's his bros just pushing it up. I think he knew Twitter would help him continue that. If you look at what happened with GameStop and AMC, I think that he saw that in the cards and knew how to leverage that.
Could be. I think we're going to get a Green New Deal.
I think we've already seen pieces started to drop about how everyone at Mar-a-Lago is annoyed with Elon Musk. He's getting too annoying. He can't overcome not being likable. I think he's kicked to the kids' table much more quickly than people think.
Let's see if that's even an option.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that Trump has that kind of power.
Yeah, that's possible.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the other forces around him. It's the people that want to. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're in this movie now. We're all in it now. So we're just going to have to sit back and see.
That's right.
Yeah.
may as well get your ass off social media. It's not going to make you any happier or safer or better. And, and that does bring me back to like Trump won. I remember I had to get off of Facebook back then because friends of mine were spreading total misinformation about ICE raids on the subway or on streets in Brooklyn. ICE is out on the street. They're rounding people up on this particular street in Atlantic Avenue where there happens to be a lot of immigrants. Like, get away! People were spreading that. And like, if you recall, do you remember this? They would post stuff that said, don't, whatever it is on Facebook, retweet, reshare this, copy and paste the text into your own post and post it that way, because that's how they'll shut us down. We got to get the word out that way organically. Otherwise they'll suppress it. I was getting into people with people. I was like, dude, did you Google this? It's not happening. It would take you a second to do this. And what you're doing is you're spreading fear amongst a disenfranchised and disadvantaged, like an at-risk is the word I'm looking for, community. And the reason it says don't reshare this is because it's coming from fucking Russia and they don't want it to be traced back to the originating account. And I can't believe you're this fucking stupid. Yeah. And you're on my side. Oh my God. And that's what I mean when I get so pissed off. Like, we are the smart ones, man, which of course is why we lost the election, telling people they're stupid. But
that's what I mean. We can't help ourselves. We just can't help ourselves.
I'm just, look at me. I'm a coastal elite. I'm a piece of shit. I am. But like, it just pissed me off so bad. And I was just like, I got off of Facebook because I was like, I'm going to lose friendships. I'm going to dig myself a hole. I'm going to I can't be this guy, this champion for sanity on the internet. It's not good for me. So I got off.
I agree. Well,
anyway. That drove me insane. Did that drive you insane?
Yeah,
do you remember
it
that
does.
happening?
It does constantly. That's why, I mean...
Commiserate with me. I need your
Oh, no, I commiserate with you. Twitter, now Threads, is my drug of choice. But what I like about Twitter or Threads is, like, you see a thing, and then you go into the comments, and you usually very quickly... What?
I said my drug of choice is drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, well, it's going to be soon. Yeah, we're getting back to that.
I think it's going to be great for business, Meredith. Yeah. We're back on top. How to drink is back, baby.
I did hear someone be like, I think for now I'm done with like the wellness, the meditation, the trying to bring down, like just drugs. We're going back to hard drugs,
because
people.
That is a right-wing thing anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, anti-fun is a very dangerous philosophy. That is, and I'm not going to say that the American right are Nazis. Obviously, there are Nazis in America, and they're on the right. But like, not everybody who voted for Donald Trump is a Nazi. That's a fact. And it's, even if it were true, it's not, unless you have the force of arms to get rid of them, you're going to have to figure out a way to govern with those people anyway. It's like you're stuck with them. It's not a useful conclusion. Right. But it is true that like an anti-fun youth movement is at the heart of all fascism.
Those years they stopped drinking and the whole world fell apart.
Dude, I mean, I used to joke that the world would be a lot better if people were just getting laid a lot better.
Yeah, that's true too.
There's a lot of dangerous fucking incels out there.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes got his. Well, we'll see if he gets his comeuppance, but he at least got a slap in the face.
What happened?
You missed this whole thing. Oh man, I don't know. This might get cut out.
I'm blissfully
offline. All right, Nick Fuentes, you know who he is.
I know who
I don't need a precursor. Okay, so he got on and was all gleeful about how men win again. It's your body, my choice, and then. The day, yeah.
Pretty dark.
Oh, it was very dark.
Really putting it on your sleeve
glee in his face. It was very dark, and so I guess, of course, there's anecdotal accounts of this being yelled at girls in school, but literally. But the thing about Nick Fuentes that I think people don't understand is like his own audience turned on him because they sniffed out that maybe he kissed a girl in high school. Like this is true incel, and that made him not an incel anymore. Yeah, like this man has never had sex.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, that's what
I didn't know Nick had cooties. He's got cooties.
And that's his theory. It is gay to sleep with a woman because if you cuddle, if you're loved in any way, it's gay. You're gay. You're not a man anymore.
Listen. I don't know if you know this, Meredith, but pooping is gay.
Yeah. Anything touching that area. Just gay.
And gaping it out, somehow. Like, yeah. It's gay.
Yeah.
If you were really
if you take
into...
pleasure from pooping, that's gay.
That's extremely gay. But if you were a real man, a real straight masculine man, and you were really truly hitting the gym like you're supposed to,
tell me,
and you were really tuned in with your macros and you had that dialed in, you could sew your butthole shut. You'd have nothing to get rid of. And that would be straight.
That's about where this guy is at. Yeah. So
you would have perfect equilibrium in and out. Nothing wasted.
Anyway,
sew that sucker up.
He got doxxed and he's hiding in his mommy's basement. Is the end of this story.
Is he a doxer? Because if he's a doxer, then
he has.
got
Well,
what he but if he's not a doxer, I'll tell you right now, Meredith, that is.
I know it's
spend
terrifying.
Money on not getting doxed. It's terrifying.
I don't mind. I'm okay with this one. I think he needs it. So
did we talk about when the radical left came for me?
Well, and so there's lots of accounts of him shutting down like people's livelihoods and YouTube channels by sending his. So I guess we just put ourselves in the crosshairs by sending his audience after them.
They're gonna shut down Midnight Local.
No,
what
YouTube.
Will we ever do?
No, How to Drink. They would shut down How to Drink. But
what are we ever gonna do for a living? No.
But he has successfully like had his audience make enough complaints on a channel that it gets shut down, and there's nothing the person can do about it.
That's hard to do, but interesting.
It's not hard when your audience is terminally online, because to your point, they're not getting laid.
They gotta get laid, dude. Gotta get laid.
You're out of the club if you get laid.
When your religion gets weird about sex, it gets a little risky. The weirder your religion is about sex, the more dangerous your religion becomes, in my opinion. When your political ideology gets weird about sex, this is why I think that, we're going to bring back to John Waters. I think John Waters is pro-sex.
Oh, extremely.
And so is Serial Mom. She fucks.
Well, and not a completely throwaway point. Like, the porn that Scotty is watching is like...
It's the worst porn I've ever seen in my life. I feel so bad for him.
Hold on. But like, that's the thing. Once you start shaming that, like, Scotty can like whatever Scotty wants to like.
That's fine.
And if
I got
he
the
likes,
impression that Scotty just doesn't have very good accent.
If he likes big-breasted, huge women, like... Good
that's
for
not
him.
what bothered me.
But
it's the grainy footage.
Oh,
the fact
but
that
that's
it's just...
yeah, sure. But like that is John Waters' thing. Is like everything is beautiful. I want the weird. Like in some ways, it's like it's a continuation of Freaks. It's like there are more people in this world than the Suzanne Summers, these beautiful blonde whatever, and those are the people that John Waters is interested in, and that's why I love his movies.
Beautiful.
Ricky Lake, like he created Ricky Lake's career in this movie. Ricky Lake, besides the one, and it's the one thing that I might change, is Carl wanting her to lose weight, because everyone else just thinks she's sexy, and
but Carl's a piece of
shit.
That's
to make him a piece of shit. I agree, but I wish they could have made him a piece of shit in another way, because he just denies that is reality in his movies. That like everything can't be beautiful, and in this way he sort of like he calls out what he's ignoring. And I wish there was another way. You can have him cheat without saying that she needs to lose weight. He could still be a piece of shit without that being the thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it would, be a stronger point, because I love that like the detective is eyeing her. She's got the new boyfriend at the end, and they're just macking it in the courtroom all of the time. Like, Ricky Lake is beautiful, and he just says Ricky Lake is beautiful. Men find her attractive. Period. I don't know. I love that about John Waters, because I think in life that's more true than not. Hollywood makes it very untrue. And I think, like, again, going back to these incels, the Andrew Tates, the valuable woman thing.
Say, but I have no chin, okay? And like, no, the truth of the matter is I am unfuckable. Women would never touch me. I
think your comment section has proved that wrong.
No, I'm making a joke.
You're making a joke about Nick.
This is how the incels talk. Is like, if you had a different bone structure here, you would be an alpha, and so you get surgery to fix that. It's like, these guys are nuts. I'm sorry, the high value women thing though.
Most people that I know in long-term relationships and marriages, their relationship wasn't built on finding the sexiest person and dating them. They find the person that they're in love with sexy.
I mean, just for the record, my wife is the sexiest person, and in case she's listening, that's what happened there. I don't know if it was Andrew Huberman or I. To your point, I want to back that up. I've seen these dudes, these like finance gurus. It might have been Huberman. It might have been the guy who's a Mormon. I forget his name. But he's got a bunch of Mormon money and he pretends to be rich. They're investment gurus who tell you how to buy 500 properties on infinite banking and how to use whole life insurance to bullshit.
Fun.
Like they're crazy people, right? They're just like selling get rich quick schemes.
Sure.
No, it's not a get rich quick course. I will be your mentor. It's a mentorship. But I've seen them talking about exactly that. If you're a young man coming up in the world, you should avoid dating because you should have no relationships with women until you have your first $1 million in the bank, because the only women who would give up their body to a man who has less than $1 million, like a joke, like less than $1 million, like the barest amount of money, $1 million, must be just worthless floozies. Like they're just not worth your time. They're just going to tie you up, bow you down. You're going to waste your seed on them. Just like the most insane fucking, I don't even know if misogyny is the word for that. Like just like bonkers fucking like Thule society crazy shit.
I don't know why these men want to be married at all at that point.
Well, sex feels good.
That's what it, but most of them, like, not for Andrew Tate, it doesn't. The only way that he enjoys sex is if he's raping someone or
true?
paying them, more or less. Like, I don't think that the way that he talks about it, at least to the men on his podcast, is that
You listen to the Andrew Tate podcast?
no, but I've seen write-ups about it, and I've
clips
seen
and stuff,
people sort of break down a lot of the quotes that he said about it.
He's crazy.
Is that like
They're all crazy.
he wants to own the women that he sleeps with, and he sleeps with them sort of to break them in, kind of thing. Like this is the charges that he's facing and why he's not in the country. Like
I don't know why anybody does anything.
what he wants really is his dungeon basement with workout equipment and all of his bros lifting weights and getting sweaty together. And it's like,
I mean, true
are
words.
you
We all
just
want that.
gay? Just be gay.
I don't like that, and I'm surprised you do. I don't like they're closeted homos
But
thing.
but here's the thing. With Nick Fuentes, I don't think that. But with Andrew Tate, it's like he doesn't want women around anywhere. But he wants his big, strong. He wants to work out together. Like he doesn't seem to have interest in women, but he really, really seems to like the company of men. I just think, I don't know. That to him, with him specifically, I'm just like,
What do you like about? What do you even?
what? Yeah. Why are you even having? You want women around so that you can sell them because you hate them so much. It makes you feel better to make them property.
Yeah,
But then just like don't be around them. Just let them go.
But then he wouldn't be able to own them.
I don't get it. It's a mindset that I cannot understand.
Good.
Yeah.
That's healthy of you.
I know.
I was just going to say, I also can't stand, obviously, what's his name? Jordan Peterson. Dr. Jordan Peterson from Canada. Are you familiar with this guy?
I've heard of him, but I don't know his
I did see
shtick.
a quote from him, though, which was saying that, there's a recent trend now that young people are not drinking. They are not going to parties. They are not drinking. They're not having alcohol. They aren't doing any kind of drugs or anything like that. And on the outset, you might think that's a great thing because these are destructive behaviors that can lead to all kinds of troubles and problems. But on the other hand, if the alternative is that you're sitting alone in your basement and you're a young man, that's a very dangerous thing. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, me and Mr. Horrible Peterson do agree apparently on at least one issue.
Yeah.
How many steaks a day do you eat, Jordan Peterson? 5. He eats 5 steaks a day.
Fine. That doesn't affect my life in any way. You go right ahead, Mr. Peterson.
Go ahead, buddy. You go right ahead. Yeah. I guess it's kind of crazy to me, but it's possible that Peterson might be the least dangerous of the Manosphere. I don't know. He might. Wow, man. We might have to just like cut our losses and be like, we'll keep Peterson.
Yeah.
The rest have to go.
I don't know. I don't know. They're gonna be loud and in our ears for the next 4 years.
Only if you listen.
I know. But I feel like if I don't, at this point, then I won't see it coming and I'll be stuck in a bad situation. I guess that's the fear that I slip into.
I get that fear.
And I overconsume everything because I want to see it coming. I don't want to miss it.
I tend to believe that it won't be that quiet. If it's coming, you won't be able to miss it, I think. But that's, you know what?
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
this is your risk. So
Yeah.
I can't, I just don't want anybody to panic. I just want you to calm down, behave rationally,
Yeah.
and be cool and be healthy. That's
Yeah.
what I want. I just hope that for you.
Thank you.
You know,
Generally, that's where I fall. Obviously, I'm still here. We're still doing this podcast. I'm talking very openly about it on a public forum. So
so public, literally dozens.
killing me, man. Dozens, thousands. Give me a break.
A couple thousand. Anyway, I don't know if this was an episode of Midnight Local. It went really far off the
A
rails.
lot of it probably get cut, but
Good.
I think it's a fantastic movie. Again, something that I'm sure he couldn't have possibly been, but to your point about trying to write to a thing, like the O.J. Simpson trial comes up right behind this, and we didn't end up talking about that a lot because it's culturally relevant still to things happening today. But there's no way he could have written knowing that would have come right there, and it's almost a
crazy.
direct parody of that happening. And it's just, he understands something of our base nature and is able to communicate it in a way that I think is very, very rare and unique and lovely.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that he understands? Like, what is it about his viewpoint that allows him to see through?
I don't think he's trying to be
fog?
liked.
Oh yeah, that's the ticket.
I really don't.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think he's got his close circle, his people that he loves, that he would do anything for, that would do anything for him, and I don't think he needs anything else.
Yeah, no editing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I will say this: not trying to be liked certainly seems to have worked out well for somebody we're all going to be hearing a lot about for the next 4 years, hasn't it?
It seems to work out. So maybe we should all stop trying to be liked. Actually, that is another takeaway, but we won't dive into that one. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done trying to be liked.
I never liked you anyway.
Thank you. I don't like you either. All right.
You'd be right too. You'd be right not to. It's a thin veneer.
I don't even know how to get out of this episode. We just roll into the next one.
Stop.
All right, this has been Midnight Local. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, as long as that lasts, and
In the gutter.
yeah, this is expect more of this, I suppose. Bye-bye.
Good luck.